Welcome to the Complete Fitness Podcast with Core 4 Complete Fitness. Your episode is starting in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you all, people.
What's going on?
Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Welcome to the Complete Fitness Podcast. Before we get talking onto today's topic, if you could please do us one small favor that takes 2 seconds of your time. There's a little subscribe button. So if you stumbled on us on Facebook or YouTube or Spotify or iTunes, and you're listening or watching us live, or I guess recorded, but in real time, wherever you are, if you could hit the subscribe button, that'll help us keep growing the podcast and keep cranking these out for you guys. And share it with somebody if there's somebody that you know that you think this podcast could help, or if they've been stuck or they're trying to get in shape. It could be friends, it can be family. Send us their way so that way we can help people, which is ultimately why we do this podcast in the first place. Now, today, we wanted to talk to you guys. The last couple podcasts that we've done have been going over kind of mindset stuff, nutrition stuff, the body. Today, we're going to really hone in on nutrition, which I think is one of the biggest things that people get mixed up with, especially nowadays, right? It's not like we're in the old times where you have your choice between 10 to 20 foods and that's it. You go into a grocery store, it's completely overwhelming. There's aisles and aisles and aisles of food. Some say it's healthy, some say it has protein, some it's not. And people get very confused because when it's time to get in shape, they go, I have all these options. This on the label is telling me one thing, but then you flip it around, it says something different. So we're going to do a deep dive today, kind of what's inside of your food so you can focus on eating the right stuff, which is super duper confusing for people. I know I've said it before on here, but if you were to type in the word nutrition or the sentence what to eat in Google, you will get hundreds upon hundreds, probably thousands upon thousands of page after page after page that all seem to contradict each other. So we're going to kind of lay it out flat in this podcast to make it kind of easy to digest and easy to absorb. And hopefully next time you go grocery shopping, you'll know what to pick and what not to pick. Now, with the state of the world, guys, and, this isn't a political podcast, but if you guys are paying any attention to what's going on in the real world, RFK, one of the big proponents that he talks about, and one of the changes that he wants to make is with the quality of our food, right? And some of the food that we're getting is being designed to taste like food, to smell like food, to even look like food, but it doesn't have any nutritional value or nutritional density behind of it. So you end up eating this, whatever, cookie or cereal or thing, I should say, that once you eat it, you want more and more and more. And when you start eating this stuff, if your body doesn't respond to it, well, because it's kind of a foreign object that we're putting into our body, and you do this on a daily basis, all of a sudden you're going to see inflammation, you're going to see bloating, you're going to see the scale start to go up, and you're like, what the heck? This thing said it had protein in it, or it's healthy for me, but then you flip around the ingredient list, and there's, 20 to 50 to 70 ingredients in there, half of which you can't pronounce, half of which you can't read, and that's where all the havoc starts to, occur inside your body. So with this episode, guys, we're going to take a dive into all that stuff, tell you what to get in, what to avoid, and hopefully, like I said, next time you go grocery shopping, you'll be able to walk in and go, that's crap, that's good, that's crap, that's good, and have kind of a good template to go off of for your household.
For sure. The truth about this, and it has been, but the truth is this is like a 10-parter episode. Like there's no way we could boil this down to a 30-minute, talk and then have you end the podcast and go, oh, I fully grasp it now. So the goal as best we can is more or less to bring these segments along the way for the rest of the year to kind of try to update and educate and give the crash course of what goes on in our food. So there's a million places to start. So just diving right in, when you think weight loss, one of the first things people think about right now in American society is, oh, you have to cut carbs. We have to cut carbohydrates. Carbs are like bad, and if you cut carbs, and people cut carbs and see results. And so they go, oh, it does work, right? This is why the ketogenic diet's very big, trendy, because it's removing carbs. So you can have a ton of fats, and you go, oh, so I can eat a ton of fats and no carbs and still be okay, blah, 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 blah. Why is this happening? And all of the focus is all being forced and pushed to the wrong area. We're going, okay, carbs are bad, carbs are bad, carbs are bad. When we eliminate carbs, we're eliminating sugar and donuts and cereal and bread and all of these things that are mass produced. And when you're eating fats, you are eating real food, because fats come from nuts and seeds and butter and cheese and milk and things that come from animals. Things that if you looked at the ingredient labels, there's 3 or 4 or 5. When you look at a Fruit Loop label, there's 28 ingredients. And this is the problem. It's not so much the focus on carbs or fats or proteins or this. It is getting whole foods in your body. Now, talking out of two sides of my mouth, you do also at the end of the day, to have a happy, healthy, comfortable body, need to balance your fats, carbs, and protein. You do. You need to have high protein diet. It's good for us. It's the way we're designed. We need to do it to hold and keep muscle on our body. But there's almost two camps. This has to do with, health. This also has to do with health. But this is kind of what you get into after you've eliminated all of the shit that we've been used to. And it comes to, in main part, none of it being our fault, where we've been sold and uneducated on what we should be eating, and all we do is we walk into the grocery store and we go, I'm going to have some sandwiches, so I need bread, and you don't realize that what you're grabbing is, 10 ingredient bread. And bread is 3 things, 4 things, 5 things. It's salt. We make our own bread now. We got this sweet bread maker. And so for the last 4 or 5 months, we've been making bread. And this was one of the big catalysts. We're like, Rowan is a toddler. He doesn't eat anything, but he'll like a PB&J. But I don't want to get him a bunch of crappy processed food. So it's salt, oil, flour, water, yeast. Okay, 6 ingredients.
Isn't it crazy too? Sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're
when
good.
you have the bread you make at home, how you feel completely normal after?
Yeah, totally fine.
Our neighbor has a bread maker, and he brought over some. And same thing, he's like, you have to eat it within a week because this will go bad.
But that's real
I
food.
ate it, and I'm like, I don't feel like shit after this. I was like, my energy is good. I don't feel like I'm going to take a power nap right away. And I was like, this is probably what it's supposed to do inside your body.
That is what, yes. It's, and anything worth anything you have to eat in a week. Chicken. You just going to have week-old left-out chicken? No. Berries and bananas and apples and fruit. What happens after a week? They start to get all shitty. This is the nature of food. This is why we continue to grow and harvest and make and create. It's not supposed to last in a cabinet or on your counter for weeks. It's not supposed to. And there's it's almost like we're ignoring the nature's way of saying, it's bad, time to get new ones. We're going, or we just pump it with preservatives, and we can eat it without necessarily feeling it. Or if we do feel it, it's small enough to notice. We'll ignore it. And so we'll just keep fueling our body with it. And then 25 years down the line, 30, 45, we see all of these results. We see the country has changed with everything.
It's the compounding effect of it. If you do it once, probably not a big deal, but years and decades.
We live off of it.
Yeah.
We live off of it from the time that we're kids. It sounds bleak and grim or whatever, but it's too late for us. We've been raised on this stuff. We've been eating it forever, but our kids, we can right the ship. And that's what's so exciting about this new big movement that's happening. And I think you were telling me it was the example that they used was Fruit Loops in Europe or something is like 7 or 8 ingredients, and Fruit Loops here is like 20 some ingredients. Is that right? I don't
Yeah,
want
it was
to.
Canada. He said the Fruit Loops that you buy here has a list that's like, you know, damn near a page. The font's super duper small,
Right.
but it goes on and on and on of all the colors they use, all the preservatives that they use, all the chemicals that are in there. And he goes, if you go into Canada, this list is cut in half.
Right.
And another one, if you guys, you can Google this too. If you type in orange Fanta, like the orange soda that we have here,
Yeah.
it is like bright. It looks like this thing, like this box. It's bright, it's colorful, it like jumps
Yeah.
out at you on the shelf, so you want to buy it. But then he goes, if you go to Europe and you get an orange Fanta, it almost looks like orange juice.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the
real.
dyes, the
Natural.
coloring. It's almost like a mimosa without the booze. It's just like sparkly orange juice.
Yeah.
And he
Natural.
goes, yeah, he goes, the labels still say Fanta on them, still
Mhm.
comes from the same company, but the regulations that we have or they have in Europe are much more strict as opposed to what is allowed to be put in your body, as opposed to what we have here in the States. So when people go, well, this is on the shelf, so we got to be able to have it, it's, there's guidelines and they're switching these guidelines up, which is fantastic. But part of the reason, like you were saying with the carb thing, all those things that you listed are carbs, whether it's cereal, whether it's bread, whether it's
Right.
pasta, whether it's Doritos. So it's not that carbs are necessarily the enemy. It's
No.
that if you took all the processed shit out of your diet,
Exactly.
you would see the same results.
Exactly.
And
It's not that you're eliminating carbs. It's that you're eliminating all
junk.
of that bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what makes a difference. If you have rice, broccoli, and chicken every single day, good things are going to happen. And guess what? That's carbs. There's a lot of carbs in rice. But
Yeah.
it's real food, 1-2 ingredients. So yes, it's the wrong focus, and we're being taught this way. We're being taught by people in our industry. You know what I mean? Leaders of health and fitness that go, oh, you got to go carnivore, you got to go this, all of this unsustainable stuff, thinking it's because of, well, it's the animal fats. We're getting all of these nutrients that we don't. Nutrients are definitely important, but you're also, while doing that, eliminating shit. And it's the dog thing that I say every single podcast episode. It's, if you just fed your dog whatever, your dog would get depressed, anxious, sick, and die way sooner than it should. And we are no different. We're just, we're animals with big brains, and we've built this, but we still have to live under these animal laws. It's not, and the thing is, I said this last time too, is it's because it's not direct result. If you took a bite of spoiled food, you'd go, oh, I shouldn't eat this, and you stop. You take a bite of a Dorito, it's still bad for you, but there's no immediate right? But if you do that for the next 20 years, there's the line, then all of a sudden everybody has diabetes, heart disease, all of this stuff. It's just so far removed, we can ignore it. And if and the truth is, you can have it from time to time, but you'll notice once it's out of your diet, A, you don't crave it. B, when you have it, you can feel it, because there's a lot of people listening to this that go, what are you even talking about? I've been having this forever. I feel totally fine. I don't have it. Try not having it for a while. You'll know what fine is. There is a difference. You're just kind of, used to this feeling. You're used to operating at 90%.
You don't know anything better.
You don't know any better. Right.
The biggest kind of grocery store hack that I ever heard was, when you're going grocery shopping, do 80% of your shopping around the perimeter of the grocery store.
Right.
That's usually the stuff that is, healthy, one-word ingredients, whole foods, things like that. And then if you got to sprinkle in a couple things inside the aisles, whether it's, stuff for the kids or some goldfish crackers or something like that, that's fine. But there's people that are completely flipped from that. They go, I do 80% of the shopping in the aisles, and then I'll get some chicken or some ground beef, and that's pretty much it. So the majority of the stuff that you're bringing into your house, is all highly processed stuff that's going to be good for months or, I mean, weeks to months on end. And that's what's making up your diet. I think we told you guys a few weeks back, but we ran a big challenge in our gyms. And the first 2 weeks of the challenge, there was no measuring. There was no, macro counting. We kept it very simple. And we go, all we want you to do for the first 2 weeks is focus on whole foods. If you're going to have protein, have it be the size of your palm. If you're going to have fats, have it be the size of your thumb. If you're going to have carbs, have it be the size of, making a fist. Very just cut and paste, whole foods, basically one word foods. Broccoli is broccoli is broccoli. Chicken is chicken is chicken. And there were people that lost 10 pounds in a week just from switching off of processed stuff and going into whole foods without even really trying to diet. They go, here's the amount I'm supposed to have. This is a whole food. I'm good to go. And the number one thing that they said, besides the scale going down, is they were like, my energy levels are through the roof now. And they go, I feel great. I don't feel sluggish. I'm good to go all day. And, and then we give them a cheat meal every 2 weeks. They have a cheat meal that's like, pasta or pizza or whatever they want to have on a night out. And they're like, I feel like I was hit with like a tranquilizer dart. They go, my stomach is killing me. I'm exhausted all the time. And it takes like 2 or 3 days to kind of shake it out of your system. But it's amazing, just like how you said, you don't know how good you can feel until you eliminate that stuff. And then you go back to eating it just one time and you're like, I don't want that crap ever again. I'm completely good to go. Right. But with these foods, everything pretty much that comes in a box has an ingredient label on it. And no matter what it says on the cover of your box, and a lot of companies are wise to this, they'll go, well, let's put right on the label that it has 20 grams of protein, or let's put right on the label that it has low sugar, let's put right on the label that's this. So when you're walking down the aisle and you go, oh, that has 20 grams of protein, that must be good for me. You flip it around, and the ingredient list is this huge.
But it says that's so obnoxious about it, and sorry to cut you off, is you see the trends in society. Like, we have never had food on the package say keto ever. Now it's all over the place because these businesses, companies that are making this food know this is going to attract somebody. They're going to go, oh, keto, got to be good for me. And
put the flash word on it.
You're like, when have you ever seen a granola bar say 2 net carbs? But that there are people that count carbs all the time. So it's a marketing ploy. It's more of the lie, steering into the lie. And it's just like a bold-faced, blatant, we don't care lie. They're not even trying to hide it. And real quick, back to the grocery store perimeter thing, it's so painfully obvious. Why is the perimeter shopping the healthiest? Because that's where the electricity is, and that's where the refrigerated foods need to be, because foods that don't
perish go bad in a week
need to stay refrigerated. So it's like, duh. All of the stuff that is going to go bad can just sit in the middle because of the preservatives. We are not supposed to be eating that way. We are not, especially not 85% of our diet, like you said. It's painfully obvious, and then we're dumb to it, and then we're on top of being dumb to it, we're being purposely sold the opposite. It'd be like me telling people, you telling people that exercise is bad for you. It's bad. It's incorrect. It's the opposite, and that kind of is a good segue, if you don't mind. I know I just kind of totally hijacked your thought.
Go ahead.
Into this thing, like with RFK and this movement, is this lady, Casey Means, Dr. Casey Means is her name, is kind of she's really breaking ground on all of this stuff and shedding new light. And she's been on big popular podcasts about it, and she is the big advocate for why this is becoming a thing. And with the new, people in charge, they've told us it's going to be, so let's hope it's going to be something that we start turning the page on in America and getting rid of all this stuff. But she was a doctor and realized that most of everything she's being learned is just how to treat sick people, and she's not learning how to prevent people from getting sick. And she had a profound awakening. So she was in med school, some great med school, Columbia Med School, I forgot the name, but some like big time med school, learning from the best doctors around to be a world renowned doctor. And she goes, I'm realizing that all I'm doing is learning how to treat sick. I'm not learning how to prevent sick. And it's, it's a problem. And then she said there's studies for Ozempic on 6-year-olds in America going on. There, why don't we stop what's going on? 6-year-olds having weight issues like this has not been a thing. This is new. This is a new thing. What is going on? Why are we reacting? Is it something that is being passed down through us, for example? Do I have something going on now because of how I've been eating for the last 32 years that I could give to one of my children? Is it something that they're eating from a young age? What is going on? What is the thing? But it's being ignored at a high rate because there's a million reasons why, and this is what's so hard to think about. It's just because it's easy. You just grab. Okay, I'm just gonna grab mac and cheese because it's easy. I know how to cook it. It's cheap. There's the price value. There's a million different things that go into why we're constantly eating. But anyway, and so she had this kind of profound awakening. She quit. She just dropped out of med school and dedicated all of her time and research to all of this stuff and has brought it into the light, and it literally got to the White House and hopefully is going to make some big change going forward. But it's always one of those things that I love finding things, and this is with anything. This is with fitness. This is with anything in the world. When you find something that is just a new way of thinking about things and a new solution, a new result, and kind of questioning something that is so painfully obvious that we're just missing, I love it. It's like my favorite thing. So obviously in this nutrition in the world and the way that it is, it's like, why are we all anxious and depressed? Well, it has a lot to do with the fact that we don't go anywhere and move, and people are supposed to exist in communities, and we just don't. We want to just isolate and be away and work online. And if we
You're on our phone all day,
yeah, it has to do with us not moving our body, because we're supposed to move our body. Hunters and gatherers, we don't need to anymore. We just sit around so we don't feel good. And then we're feeding ourselves crap. The food is purposely addicting us to make more money. It's designed. The people in charge of Oreo go, we can sell more Oreos. And that's it. It's money. That's it. They go, okay, well, if we can reduce the amount of this and this, but add the amount of this, it means they're just going to buy more because it's not going to be as filling, and it's going to have this factor in it, which is going to be more addictive, blah, 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 blah. And it's just that obviously happening. And they go, meanwhile, let's tell them back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, let's tell them that fat is bad. So you want to avoid saturated fat or unsaturated fat. This is what's killing. You know what I mean? So then you start marketing, this is fat free, whatever, and you don't realize that there's 30 added grams of sugar.
So they said we got to make it taste good still, or they're not going to buy it. So we'll take out the fat, but we'll put this, and this in its place.
Right. Meanwhile, that stuff is what's addicting. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're having fat free now, because if you're not eating fat, it means you're eating something to replace the fat, which is engineered in a laboratory. It's made up, just like a toy, just like batteries, just like it's crazy. It's out of control crazy. And like, if you step back and look at history and the trends, eggs are good, eggs are bad, bacon's good, bacon's bad, blah, 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 blah. They're all fine. What's bad is the stuff being sold underneath to go, oh, okay, if you can't have butter, you can have a bunch of margarine instead because it's fat-free. It's half the fat. But it's filled with a bunch of bullshit that we're not supposed to eat. So you go, oh, no wonder my dad used to eat meat and potatoes every single day, and he was, 160 pounds and lived till he was 85, and he even smoked and he even drank. And it's like, that guy woke up and went to a job where he moved his body. He ate real food with short shelf life because it wasn't full of shit. It doesn't matter if it was carbs. It doesn't matter if it was fats. It's real. It's actual, from the ground, from the earth, in one way or another, food. that we're meant to be eating.
Yeah.
It's just obvious.
And even like when you look at the big picture, because like people, your diet is more than just one meal, right? So let's say you're like, oh, well, everybody's, all we have margarine because we like it better. And if that's your one thing, then that's your one thing. And if the big picture is great still, then that's fine.
Right.
But for most people, it's I'm having cereal for breakfast, highly processed. I'm having an Uncrustable for lunch, highly processed. I'm making a sandwich on bread, highly processed. And for dinner, we're having pasta, highly processed. Or we're having this, but we're cooking it with margarine, or we're having Eggo waffles. And all this processed stuff has this compounding effect to where it is 80% of or 90% of the diet. You have a salad even. You dazzle it with a bunch of ranch dressing. So all that stuff is blowing up this giant picture in terms of health. So again, if you're like, okay, if the worst thing that you're doing is you're having a Diet Coke and in the big picture, everything else is great. But I guarantee you, if you were to look in your house day to day with the food that you're eating, probably the majority of it is highly processed stuff. And one of the biggest tools that I try to get people to kind of follow in the gym is no matter what it says on the ingredient label, no matter how much protein, keto, low sugar, and sugar now has like 8 different names. They'll change it to dextrose, they'll change it to sucralose. There's sugar alcohols. So even when you flip it around, you're like,
that's a great example too. High fructose.
They're flipping a fast one by you, so you're not keen to it.
Well, think about someone blew the whistle real quick. Someone blew the whistle on high fructose corn syrup being bad. Everything's marketed made without high fructose corn syrup. Nobody knew what it was, and all of a sudden you see packaging Raisin Bran doesn't have it. You go, okay, it's healthy for me again.
Yeah.
Nobody. You don't even. It has nothing to do with it. But they know. Someone blew the whistle that high fructose corn syrup is bad for us. Let's start marketing that we don't have it, and let's just add other shit to make sure it's not that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Protein bars are a big one. Protein bars, everybody thinks this is a protein bar, so it's got to be healthy, or a granola bar, it's got to be healthy. Some of them you're better off just having like a candy bar. Again, if you look at the ingredient list, it's got a daisy chain of stuff that almost takes up the entire wrapper. Yes, it might have protein in it still, but you're also eating just a ton of absolute garbage that's going to wreak havoc on your body. So anytime, and you'll learn, guys, one of the best apps in the gym. Have you ever tried the Yucca app yet?
No.
Oh, it's YUCA or YUKA. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But essentially, it's an app. You get on your phone and you scan whatever it is in the grocery store you have at home. And it gives a value rating on the food and if it's actually healthy or not. So let's say I went to buy Raisin Bran and it kind of gives it a score. Let's say Raisin Bran is like, I don't know, a 72. And you're like, okay, probably not the greatest thing. But then beneath it, it'll go, there's 4 other brands here in the grocery store that are the same thing that are in the 80s and in the 90s.
Wow, that's sweet.
So it kind of tells you, take this away, implement this. And then after like a week or two, you usually buy the same stuff when you're grocery shopping. Get that over that, pick that over that. And then if you want to check in every couple months and just see, is there anything new out there that's healthier for me? It lays it out there for you.
I mean,
but that's the biggest thing with people is a lot of people are unaware. And even for when we ran our challenge, like people get hungry and they get snacky and they don't want to cook all the time. So we gave them 3 go-to protein bars. You guys can take this and keep it in your phone if you want at home. But the healthiest ones that are pretty much on the shelves, the Laura bars are great. The Epic bars are great. And oh my God, there was one more. Do you remember what it was?
No, I can't. Is it the one that's made with dates?
Yes, the RX bars.
RX bars, yeah. Those are good.
But no, that's another one where if you guys get time and you want to do a little science experiment, go to the grocery store and either RX bar, Laura bar, or Epic bar, look at the ingredient list on those 3 bars, and then compare it to something that's not those.
Yep.
And it is, I think we have a bunch of the RX bars, and it was like 5 things. It was like dates, raisins.
It says it on the cover.
Yeah,
It
that's
fits
like their
all the
marketing for it.
ingredients. Yeah, it's great. It's
It's just
smart.
got egg whites. It was like egg whites, dates, this and
Yep.
this. And you know exactly what you're getting. You flip it around, it says exactly what's on it. And
But the,
you compare that to something else that has, 20, 30, 40 ingredients. And it's no wonder people are feeling like crap all the time.
well, the issue now is that we're like so far gone into it that you hand somebody one of those and they take a bite and they go, "Oh, this is disgusting." You go,
Yeah,
"Well, yeah, because you're comparing it to a Snickers or whatever you've been eating as a protein bar."
yeah,
So that first initial cleanse that you talked about is just getting those whole foods. Then all of a sudden you implement it and you go, "Oh, it's not that bad." Like when you don't have sugar, you take a bite into an apple, you go, "Oh my God, this is delicious." If you take a bite into an apple right after eating a Snickers, it's not that good. It's not that sweet. It's not that flavorful, but if you don't have it for a while and then you eat an apple, you go, "Oh my God, this is great." It's the same type of thing. So, but
and
again,
over time your palate
it
begins
changes.
to adapt
It
to
changes.
those poor food and poor quality choices. Your
It changes.
palate gets used to having the super salty, the super sugary, the highly
Right.
processed, the chemicals. Your body gets used to that after months and
Right.
months and years and decades either of eating that way. And then you get these people that, I hate vegetables, or I hate fruit, or I hate this, or I
They're
don't
not
like
that
chicken.
bad.
Part of it is because your body's completely absorbed
Yep.
into the highly processed crap. Where you get
Right.
that out of your body, and like
It's
you
being
said, you have that
masked.
detox period. Eventually, you start to crave the normal food again, and that's your standard operating procedure. And then you go back, and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is the sweetest thing in the world. This is so damn salty, I can't stomach it.
Yep.
And your body actually kind of begins to like reject those things.
Yeah. It's being masked by the chemically engineered food. Like it's designed in a lab to taste better for you. I mean, I don't know the extent of it, obviously. I'm not a food scientist, but it's yeah, it's crazy stuff and I'm excited to have it come to light. I hope, God willing, there'll be some big changes in American society and culture. I think about it for Rowan. I think about it for my new baby. I'll announce that on the podcast. My new
Oh,
baby that's coming.
shit. You spilled the beans.
Spilled the beans. Early June, father of two, so that's exciting. And then yeah, it's serious stuff. I hope this is a big breakthrough change. It seems like it, It seems like it's always been like, yeah, whatever. But this seems, listening to this lady talk, and she has a book, and it's just I love when things just make sense. When you go, I don't know, it's kind of complicated, but it just makes sense, And I'd love to challenge if somebody wants or is fired up and wants to do a new nutrition fad, let's call it that, a new nutrition fad. How about no, don't eat anything that's more than 5 ingredients for 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
circle back and let us know how you feel. Have as many carbs as you want, have as little protein as you want. Just do that. I don't care what it is. And
An apple
let's
is an
circle
apple.
back.
A banana is a banana.
You know,
Rice is rice.
it's the
Yeah.
same thing when you know that veganism and vegetarianism, people do it to lose weight and it works. And you go, well, that's not a lot of protein. What are you doing? It is real foods. You're not eating shit,
Well, there's
And
also people that are vegan and vegetarian
it's bad. Their
that
skin is
flip it,
awful. They
and
gain a
it's
bunch of weight
highly processed everything. They're not
because it's
getting
all
in any
fake.
protein, and
It's
they're like,
exactly
well,
right.
it's not an animal, so I'm gonna have Cheetos, and I'm gonna have this, and
Right.
I'm gonna. You can
Yep.
you can flip it both ways for vegan and vegetarian and non-vegan and vegetarian. The same principles apply.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah. Yeah. It's the answer is the same. That's what's so amazing about it. You go, well, this guy ate nothing but steak for whatever. It's just like, is that what happened, or was it that he didn't
He
eat?
also stopped eating shit.
He didn't eat shit. You know what I mean? Or this guy only ate so and so, or this guy's this, or this. It's like they all have the same thing in common. This guy went paleo. This guy went keto. This guy. They all have the same shit in common. Or how about the bodybuilders? They look great and they're ripped, but they're eating a bunch of carbs. They're not eating a bunch of just freaking donuts. They're eating a bunch of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
rice
inflammatory
and
stuff.
pasta that's limited to small ingredients. It's just it's all painfully obvious. And so my leaving words, if there's one thing that anyone takes away from this, if you're still listening to the podcast, thank you. Start counting ingredients way more than you count calories. That is my pitch going forward. I'm going to start saying that to people. And I think that's really going to change immediate lives and future lives. I think it's huge. I really do. I think I'm glad we're in this battle, right? This is our thing. This is what we do as our job, as our career. So everybody kind of has their own things, their own passions. This is ours, and it has a really cool light right now in the world, and I hope it just kind of takes storm, and I hope people want to do it. Like, I can see them changing the ingredients for Doritos and people being pissed. And I hope...
Oh, they will be at first. These don't taste the same.
At first, and then I hope there's a universal... It's just going to change. Everybody is going to feel better, look better, act better, emotionally, mentally, and of course physically. And if you're listening to this podcast, you got the inside track, baby. Start it right away. Whole Foods.
The amazing thing I think it was Rogan's podcast months ago, but they compared a beach. There was a picture of some beach in Florida, and there was a picture, it was in black and white. So like, I don't know, maybe in the 60s, 50s, 70s, but everybody on this beach almost looked like cookie cutters of each other. They were all trim. They were all lean. You saw the one person maybe that had a little bit of weight to lose, but everybody was in pretty darn good shape. And then they fast forward it to the 2010s and 2020s. Everybody looks like they have to lose 50 pounds, and you saw the sporadic one or two people that were in somewhat good shape. And it's amazing how everything has completely flipped and went the other direction.
Yeah.
But the good thing is now, it's like I'm hoping that it goes back that other way with we get the quality of food before they were super duper mass produced to where we can go back to that old picture. And I mean, as sad as it is to say, like, these companies are companies and they're corporations, and they want to make as much money as they possibly can.
Right.
And they want you to keep buying their product and keep buying their product. And how do we do that? We have to make them want more of it and want more of it and want more of it. So they're not just going to have one Oreo or one potato chip. They're going to want to have the whole bag or half the sleeve of Oreos. And they're going to come back next week and they're going to get more of them. And eventually that just becomes your new norm. You don't even second guess it. You don't think twice about it. You're just like, this is what I eat. This is what my body craves. So this is what I'm going to give it. And that's how we kind of got to ourselves painted into this corner where we are now, where we're like, we have to kind of blow up the way that we were eating and like rebuild it from scratch, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, it's because it was legal, right? There are all of these corporations and companies trying to make money, and they go, yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's just a little bit of it? That's fine.
Give them whatever you want. Yeah, that's fine. And so it's like, hopefully with some legislation it changes and all of a sudden this isn't legal anymore, and we see it's obviously not going to be just one day. We're not just going to go, oh, okay, we're good. But hopefully the trend from the last 20 years versus the next 20 years is a lot better. Hopefully. I'm optimistic. It feels good.
It'll be good, though. It's exciting to see, like, a shaking of things up, because it is. I feel like forever it's been harder and harder and harder to get people to eat healthy. And when something happens that's like a big jump in the right direction, or somebody grabs onto something that they're like, I figured it out, I want to make some changes instead of just kind of sticking with the status quo, it gives you a sense of optimism.
For sure.
But what else, people? Speaking of food and healthy food and avoiding crap, should you need anything to help you get in shape, or you want to make sure you're buying supplements that doesn't have a bunch of crap in it, we have some of the cleanest stuff on planet Earth, and it tastes the best in the world. We have whey protein. We have vegan protein. The vanilla's delicious. I've been drinking the chocolate vegan one lately. If you have any digestional issues or sensitive to dairy, the whey protein or the vegan protein tastes delicious. All great for you, all approved by the FDA, and you'll see if you ever buy it, if you flip it around, the ingredient list is as nice and tight as we can possibly get it. If you need anything, go to core4supplements.com. Not just protein. We have a daily green supplement that tastes delicious. If you know that you're not getting enough veggies or fruits in your diet, just add a scoop to your water every day. You can do it in the morning, you can do it at night, but that gets you your daily allotment of fruits and veggies in. We have deep sleep gummies. We have pre-workouts. Pretty much you name it to get in shape, we carry it. Again, it's core4supplements.com. And if you're a podcast listener or watcher, if you use the code word podcast when you go to checkout, you'll save 10% off your whole order. And if you spend over $100, we ship it all to your house for free as well. And you can piggyback on those 2 coupons. So hopefully today, guys, you learned a little something. We helped you out along the way. I know it's confusing sometimes when you're going grocery shopping, when you're trying to get in shape, but hopefully this was a step in the right direction. And we can spin this off into probably multiple episodes as we go on.
There will be more. It's all just different breakthroughs on how to think about stuff. Count those ingredients.
That's right, baby.
Implement
Count them up.
One
Make
day
it a
at
great
a time.
day, peoples. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Bye-bye.